Welcome to those of you who have just joined me via search or YouTube Shorts, and to those of you who have already started the journey, thanks for returning for this next installment. If you've just discovered this channel, you may want to revisit my first 2 vodcast style videos to understand what the channel is about. This weekend takes me to Nambucca Heads in New South Wales, a journey in the opposite direction to where I was previously in Hervey Bay and Maryborough in Queensland. As I sit in this bathing box, I become acutely aware that this is as far south as I have ever driven, with Horseshoe Bay Reserve Park Run tomorrow morning, located near Southwest Rocks in New South Wales. It had me thinking about the longest I have travelled for running, but first a recap on last weekend. I managed to squeak in a sub 20 minute Maryborough Park Run PB last Saturday morning, and I got to do a nice 16k long run on Sunday morning along the Hervey Bay foreshore. I believe I will be ready for my Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro V1 full review in my next episode. So if you're keen on that, please subscribe so that you can get notified when that review comes out, and hit the notification bell. I'm keen to see how it may compare with the V2 that's just arrived, and also against another rival, a favourite of mine, the Hoka Rocket X2.
With the travel I've completed across December and January, I started to think about runs I have done, whether they be races, park runs, or just training runs, and decided to compile a small list of those runs I have done that have been far from home. Runs often open the door to places that I may not otherwise venture to, so I am fortunate that this sport has enabled this interest for me. Claysbrook Cove Freedom Park Run, Perth, Western Australia. On my first trip to Perth, I stayed with a mate, catching Roger Federer at the tennis, and decided we were getting up early to try out this park run. We arrived in the area of the park run at about 6:30am in the right space, and wondered why we couldn't find anyone setting up or warming up. We assumed that the event had been cancelled and decided to run the area, which was quite enjoyable anyways. This gives you a view of the water and the bridge which takes you to one of the newer stadiums in Australia, Optus Stadium. Once we had finished our run and returned to our accommodation, I looked up the park run online, only to find that park run there started at 8am, not 7am. We had completed a freedom run instead and were content with our efforts. Melbourne Marathon, 10k and half, and Albert Park and Parkville Park Runs, Melbourne, Victoria. With members from my running club for a few years, I got to experience Melbourne, both at 2 park runs and 2 distances of the Melbourne Marathon Festival. The beauty of the Melbourne Marathon Festival is that all races finish with running into and onto the MCG. A very surreal experience, one that I highly recommend if you are sitting on the fence about trying this one. As for the park runs, both use groomed, mainly dirt paths with some pavers, concrete and bitumen in parts. Melbourne's tan track is also famous in the city. Albert Park goes around the lake, and there are swans that will go you if you venture too close, as well as row crews practicing in the water as you run around it. Parkville surrounds the Carlton AFL Footy Club and runs a bit of a figure 8 around the outskirts of its surrounding parks. Both courses are flat and fast. A running joke break for you now. Why was the treadmill runner laughing so hard? Who knows, it was an inside joke. City to Surf, Sydney and Mossman Park Run, Sydney, New South Wales. This iconic race has an interesting start zone setup where you all are ready to converge on one another. However, each section is let off appropriately at different start periods, and then off you go from Hyde Park down and up and down towards Bondi Beach. The bitter pill we swallowed at this event was trying to find everyone afterwards, as the providers decided not to put up the letter meeting markers that were promised for the event. It left a bit of a sour taste in our mouths and heads post-run in what was otherwise a really interesting and challenging run. Mossman Park Run on the north side of Sydney is a 3-lap course near the marina. Pretty straightforward with a small climb turnaround each lap. This is where fellow running YouTubers This Messy Happy have run before. Make sure you check them out if you enjoy all things running. Waterloo Plains Park Run. I decided to mention this park run as this is the farthest west and the longest drive to date that I have done for a park run. I also believe that many people may not have heard of it. The crew there are awesome in encouraging and being enthusiastic about running around their park and the back of their farmland adjacent properties. On my drive to this park run, I was lucky enough to see a wedge-tailed eagle, Australia's largest bird of prey. This park run is located in the little town of Wandoan, 45 minutes northwest of Miles Park Run, a park run which I was also able to win. It is a trail park run, so make sure you wear your fast trail shoes. All sorts of wildlife and farm stock watch you move to and away from you during this run. I was a bit bitter that I had travelled all this way to be runner-up at this park run, but I was reminded that park run isn't a race and the experience was worth it regardless. What's the longest you have travelled for a run? Mention it in the comments below, or if you've done any of the runs that I outlaid here on this episode. If you enjoyed this content, please step on the like button, subscribe for more content, and hit the notifications so that you are aware when new content releases. Until next time, remember that the bottom of your soul helps you roll. Just take it 1 day at a time. Bye for now.